Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now on with the show.
Hello and welcome to SuperConnectivity. I am your host, Charlie Esser, and with me as always is...
Phil Parrott.
Yes, Phil, welcome to SuperConnectivity, the Beyonders edition. One thing I want to talk about is my brand new insane fan theory about the Beyonders. Because I was giving this some thought the other night, and it struck me, this is my big news, what the Beyonders are, who the Beyonders are, and how they tie to the Beyonder we all know and love from the 1980s. And it struck me with when Hank Pym referred to that Beyonder as a juvenile unit. And at first I'm thinking, oh, what an insulting way to talk about the Beyonder, the juvenile unit, as if he was, just a baby and these are the real Beyonders. But the problem with that, with my outrage, is I'm assuming he's referring to the Beyonder as the offspring of the Beyonders we're seeing now. Mm-hmm. But everything starts out as a juvenile, and so this is the convoluted fan theory. Okay, when the Beyonder was in his universe, as we know, which is the outside of space and time, in the wild space, the Beyonder was the whole of his universe and did not know anything else existed. When the hole was ripped in space-time by the creation of the Molecule Man, that made the Beyonder aware of the multiverse, specifically the Marvel Universe and Earth, from whence the event that created the Molecule Man occurred. When the Molecule Man came into existence and opened the gateway to the Beyonder then entered into the multiverse. Now, once the Beyonder entered into the multiverse, like everything in the Marvel Universe, at every single quantum moment, a new universe came into existence. So when we talk about the multiverse, it's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers, which is why when we see the super adaptoid map makers all meeting in wild space, they're all from multiple different universes, because as soon as the super adaptoid androids come into existence, there are multiple variations on them, all of which are going to follow the path that leads them into wild space, that leads them to become map makers. And because wild space exists outside of time, they can be coming from any point in history and can then travel out to any point in history. Because as we know from Doom, as the Destroyer of Worlds character that he has become, he has existed outside of time, therefore has existed throughout time, just as the Beyonders have. And we know that outside of time exists outside of time, that the Beyonder realm exists outside of time, because when the Beyonder looked through the hole to show the Molecule Man, and I forget who else in Secret Wars 2, like what he saw when things first came into existence, he looks out, and it's that moment when Owen Reese is created as the Molecule Man, and even though it's happening contemporaneously in the story, outside of the whole, it can be any point in history, including that moment when the Molecule Man is first created. As a result, once the Beyonder comes into our universe, there are now multiple Beyonders that explore different possibilities of their lives and futures. When these Beyonders return to wild space, they they are each a different Beyonder. So whereas originally there was one Beyonder, the juvenile Beyonder, the Beyonder that doesn't know how to poop and is learning all of these things in our human universe, once he's in our universe, there's now an infinite number of Beyonders, all going back into the wild space, all going back into the place beyond. And because they exist for all time, start to manipulate the universe from beyond. So what we're looking at with these multiple Beyonders is that they are the whole of the beyond. Because the Beyonder entered into our universe and became part of our universe, even though he was the whole of his universe, it essentially corrupts the Beyonder, because now it is not one whole contiguous Beyonder. It is now multiple individuated Beyonders, because they're now individuals, even though they are all one thing. And this also explains why they all have different motivations, as we saw in Mighty Avengers. And so what we're looking at is, what if the Beyonder went crazy? What if the Beyonder was this? What if the Beyonder did that? All of these different what if universes of Beyonders in those what if universes, you know? And that is what these Beyonders are. And that is why they're experimenting with our universe, because they're trying to understand this existence. So in their own way, even these older Beyonders, these Beyonders who have existed for all time, who are essentially the offspring of that first Beyonder, they're still trying to understand this idea of multiplical existence. This idea that everything in our universe is its own thing, whereas in their universe they are the one thing, and that is why they're trying to destroy the universe, apparently, or, as I said, maybe trying to save it because they want to understand it, or they just want to play with it, because not all of the Beyonders have the same motivations, as we've learned. Some of the Beyonders are just crazy, funny Beyonders. Some of the Beyonders want to be heroes. Some of the Beyonders want to be villains, because they don't know what they want to be, and they suddenly have this idea of want, and they don't know what to do with want, because that was the purpose for the original Secret Wars. What is this desire? I have this feeling of I want something, but I've never felt this before. I don't know how to interpret it. And that a lot of Beyonders now are of the view of, let us just finish this experiment and destroy this universe and go back to being what we once were, of nothingness, or perhaps let's just remake the universe in our own vision. I think that's the conflict. I think the whole point is that there is conflict among the Beyonders, and though they present themselves as a unified thing, or at least we see them as a unified thing, they are in no way unified. Because suddenly, once the Beyonders became corrupted by our universe, they no longer agreed. Because when two beings of infinite power meet, they don't necessarily see eye to eye, even though they are the same being from the same place. Sort of like in the Spider-Verse, they're all Peter Parker, but they're all very, very different Peter Parkers. And this is.
I don't know if you want to hear my theory then.
Oh, okay. What is your theory? Yes, I definitely want to hear your theory.
Well, remember I was telling you I had a Deadpool theory?
Oh, yes, the Deadpool theory. What is the Deadpool theory?
Well, you know how we're getting the upcoming miniseries where he was actually in the first Secret Wars?
Yes.
Well, remember how Doom was trying to steal the Beyonder's power? It doesn't... Yes. I don't know, it seems like, to me, maybe... Do you think Deadpool has even, like, the smallest, minute traces of the Beyonder's power in him? Maybe that's how he's able to break the fourth wall so willy-nilly?
Well, since you bring it up, they did, CBR, Comic Book Resources, did do a preview of Deadpool 250. And one of the backstories in there is Thanos sends Deadpool to steal a cosmic cube. Thanos in his Thanos copter. It's great. All perfect callback, and it's like they print it on, like they like do the printing where it looks like old newsprint comics. It's fun, but essentially what happens is, as soon as Deadpool touches the cosmic cube, that's when he gains his cosmic awareness. Now, as we know from Beyonder lore, the Beyonders and cosmic cubes are linked. In fact, the cosmic cubes are something that the Beyonders have been sending into our universe just to see what would happen. And as we know, people can bond with cosmic cubes. So it is entirely possible Deadpool is, in his own way, a cosmic cube enhanced being. And that's why he breaks the fourth wall. That's why he's beyond it. That's why he too is beyond. That he says as he touches it when he's like, and he's like stating all these like, things you would have to know if you were outside of the comic books. One of the things it says, secret wars should be secret. And it's this idea that, Deadpool, because he's been touched by the beyond, he's been touched in the head, literally and figuratively. He has that ability to break the fourth wall. So yes, I think your theory is right on the money, that yes, he has something of the Beyonder in him, and that's why he can see the universe from the outside, because he became in sync with the Beyonder, became outside of this universe in some way. And also he's fictional. So which is his basic and of course that could be the whole thing. That could be how he understands what has happened, is he sees the universe as fictional, because he is beyond it. It's all very interesting how Deadpool. I do think, as I've said, that I think characters like Deadpool are going to have some kind of key to this, because they are separated from the reality as being something that is real. So they understand the malleability of reality. And the more you understand the malleability of reality, I think the more you're going to be able to sort of ride the wave of chaos of this, and that's going to be a key. I mean, that could be completely out of left field, but that's sort of my wacky fan theory on this. And yeah, I definitely think Deadpool somehow being touched by the Beyonders, or getting a bit of the Beyonders' power, and that would, and not for nothing, that is absolutely something Deadpool would do: steal some of the Beyonders' powers when Doom wasn't looking, because that's what Deadpool does. In fact, when in that little preview we see him actually stealing the Infinity Gauntlet from Thanos.
Oh no!
Yes, because he says, now I've got a bunch of shitches. Very interesting. Now, within that same concept, when we actually think about the Infinity Stones, just to give you an idea of their past history, essentially the idea is that this universe, or not this universe, the Marvel universe started out much like the Beyonders universe as one contiguous whole, but that in that universe, the essence of that universe essentially splintered into more than one thing. And that the Infinity Gems are the remnants of that universe, of that universal being. And when brought together, you have that power over all of the universe. But the idea that one contiguous whole breaks into many things is essentially the Marvel Universe origin story. And the Beyonder is what comes before. But now that I'm saying that out loud, it strikes me that if the Beyonders exist throughout space and time, outside of space and time, then that wild space we think of might just be what came before. And that the breaking of things is becoming the Beyonders, and that the Beyonders are, in fact, the pieces that build out the universe once it is created. Now, that's just crazy. But, yes. But that is the Beyonders. Because if they do exist at all points in time and space, then why do we assume that just because we're at a different point in time, that what's happening outside is contemporaneous in time? It doesn't have to be. In fact, what happens outside of time could be what came before the universe broke into more than one thing. Just an idea. So there's more coming in this whole cosmology of the Beyonders. And, for what it's worth, I know that Hickman, who is writing all of these, this is all his grandmaster theory, when he first took over the Fantastic Four, he dealt with something very similar in the idea that he had the sort of multiple reality warp thing going on in the Baxter building, because one of Reed's crazy experiments got out of hand again. And
that palm happy fool, Reed Richards.
Man is a menace. J. Jonah Jameson, why can't you see the real enemy? That's what I'm saying. Yes. So, and in one of the things he kept on revisiting were these alternate reality Beyonders and the different people that they were visiting. In fact, there was one I remember quite vividly, which is Sue Storm as the sheriff of an 1872 Marvel universe, and the Beyonder comes to town. He just came from beyond, he said, and they get into Hickman has been working on for a while, and it seems to be in line with the stuff that Hickman has previously presented about his view of the Beyonder, and how the Beyonder breaks down in the universe. So, yes, so I definitely think Hickman is opening the door for something really interesting. And as I say, I don't think he's going to be putting the Beyonder in the corner. I think that is, I think I may have unlocked the secret, or I could be completely talking out my own orifice here. Well, I'm talking out my own orifice. It's just a question of which one. But yeah, so that's my insane fan theory on the Beyonder, and it ties in nicely with Deadpool, and yay, Beyonders and Deadpool. Beyond Pool. That's our next limited series, Beyond Pool.
Make it happen, Marvel.
Make it happen. Or Beyonder Deadpool road trip. Woo! Let's get some tacos. Get some Iron City beer and some tacos. That's what we need. Because we know that's the Beyonder's favorite brand of beer. And let's see here. Yep, that is Marvel Comics right now. That's the state of Marvel Comics. Yes, yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of chomping at the bit. It's like, take my money, Marvel. Well, no, because they have to do like their last book issues, and all the books are going to be $10 that month. Well, I guess that's what DC did with its Convergence. Like the last books before Convergence were all $5 books, and I was talking to my comic book shop guy at Paradox Comics in New Jersey. Great place to get your comics. And they're listening to our podcast. Or at least they said they listened to part of one. They're just saying, that DC dropped like 5-6 books, all at $5 or $6 each this week for their pre-convergence, and it's
the
like,
annuals,
this is list. It's eaten into people's pocketbooks, but that's how they make their money. So yes, take our money, Marvel. Let's get to Secret Wars. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's going to be it for this SuperConnectivity, because I really enjoyed talking about the Beyonders. We could talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that, but you know what? We're going to let the Enough Said guys handle that this week. It's been a big week for comics, big week for the Beyonders fan theory, and we hope you've enjoyed connecting with us. I have been your host, Charlie Esser. Follow me at Charlie Esser on Twitter. Write me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. And like the SuperConnectivity Facebook page, as well as the all-new Marvel Roundup Facebook page, because we have those now. And Phil, where are you?
You can email me at nightwingpdp@gmail.com, and on Twitter I'm at nightwingpdp.
Very good. And this has been SuperConnectivity. Connect with us again on Battle World. Dun, dun, dun.